Hi, I'm Rhode Show Director Michael Beakey, and we are going to ambush anchor Elizabeth Hopkins, and we're going to make her tell us everything that happens behind the scenes on the Rhode Show. Come on, follow me. Eyewitness News anchor Elizabeth Hopkins, we're ambushing you, and we want to know everything that happens on the Rhode Show behind the scenes. You have 30 seconds. Go.
30 seconds?
30 seconds.
That's not that. 30 seconds isn't enough time.
Well, how much time do you need?
Do you have about an hour?
Well, yeah, actually, we do have about an hour. Roll the open.
From Fox Providence, this is The Rhode Show, behind the scenes. Today, we'll show you what it takes to get Eyewitness News This Morning and The Rhode Show on the air.
There's a whole bunch of craziness that happens here, and it's fun.
We'll talk to the people who make the show happen, and we'll share some secrets.
Let me tell you something about Vince Dementri that you may not know, okay?
Plus, it all goes wrong sometimes. We've got a look at bloopers from The Rhode Show and beyond. It's all ahead on a special behind-the-scenes edition of The Rhode Show.
I did it in Des Moines, Iowa, 21 years ago. And I swore when I was done with it that I never, ever would do a morning show again, no matter how much paid me.
Well, things change, and on the Rhode Show and Eyewitness News This Morning, things can change in less than a minute. With 4 hours of television to produce every weekday morning, the crew works from the moment they walk in the door, and for producer Tim O'Coin, that means 11 p.m. the night before.
As an overnight producer, you're kind of doing a little bit of everything. You're not just producing a show. You're also like a web content editor. I have to pick stories to put on the web, make sure they get on. You're kind of a part assignment desk person. You keep your ear to the scanners, make phone calls if necessary. On top of that, I have 2 hours of news to make sure that goes on from 5 to 7 every morning.
But it's not just Tim. Everybody's busy at WPRI and Fox Providence in the morning.
Putting together the rundown of all the camera shots, one after the other, to make sure that we have everything lined up right so that the cameras aren't on top of each other. Making sure all the videotape is in when it's supposed to be, making sure all the graphics read correctly.
As soon as we walk in the door, we're basically hitting the ground running. You know, we have promos to tape, we have to read our scripts for the show. There's lots of catching up and reading what's gone on overnight and fact-checking and that sort of thing. So it's like non-stop from the moment that you walk in the door.
And all of this is happening at 4 a.m., and that means early bedtimes for the Eyewitness News crew.
I've had elementary school students laugh at me when I tell them that my bedtime is anywhere between 6 and 7 o'clock.
My brother goes to bed at 7:30 and he's a 6-year-old.
Which is, kind of pathetic.
Yeah, getting out of bed, getting yourself, in the shower and acclimated. But once you get yourself going, it gets better. Once you get yourself in and the blood gets running and everything, your body starts to adjust. It comes along pretty well.
But the challenges in the morning don't begin and end with bedtimes.
Managing in the mornings is hectic because you have to balance between the Eyewitness News style of news and the hard news that's happening, and also the fun, hectic road show. So you get to balance both, and you kind of have to juggle between both.
But everybody seems to make it work somehow, every day.
Everybody who works on the show has been doing great. I think everybody's really invested in the show. Everybody who works behind the scenes on the show really wants the show to be great on a daily basis, and that's the thing that I couldn't have predicted when we started the show, but probably the thing that I appreciate most about everybody who works on the show.
It's just before 5 a.m. and everyone is in place, ready for the beginning of a marathon 4 hours of television.
We have a great crew. I mean, they have to work for 4 hours straight as stuff changes throughout the morning, and they do a great job. Everybody back in the control room, in audio and videotape, and then, everybody who's out in the studio as well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Rolly, fade up track.
And they're off. Tim is only responsible for the first 2 hours of Eyewitness News this morning. So even as his show begins, in the newsroom, Jeremy Brown and Ashley Erling are hard at work getting the final 2 hours prepared. And in the studio, meteorologist Michelle Muscatello is giving us today's forecast.
People are starting their day. They want to know, one, how they need to dress for the morning. too, whether that's different than what the conditions will be like when they're on their lunch break or when they're coming home from work. So do they need to pack an umbrella for later in the day? Do they need to worry about what the road conditions will be like for their drive home, and what sort of obstacles are they going to be facing as they start their day?
Now, what you might not consider when you're watching Eyewitness News at home is how the anchors and the crew are affected by a 4-hour show. It can, shall we say, create some complications.
You have to plan bathroom breaks around when weather's going to happen, because you know that Michelle may have 3 minutes of weather to do, so you have to plan your bathroom break around that. You can't just at any time or any whim get up and go about your business.
I'm running to the kitchen in a weather break, heating up my breakfast, coming back out if it's taking too long, running back in there, grabbing my utensils. There has to be another way. But, it always ends up that I'm dropping something on me or stifling a belch in the middle of my read. But it's really, there's no time.
At the last minute, they run up and suddenly, boom, there you are, and you're back from commercial, you're back from weather. And they make it, but they make it just barely.
It's 6:15 and we've got breaking news. A photographer has been sent to the scene. Rebecca is in the newsroom coordinating the coverage, and Jeremy is writing the story as quickly as possible. By 6:20, Tim is relaying information to the anchors, and the story is on air. Until last February, 7 a.m. was the end of the morning news. But with the addition of the Rhode Show on Fox Providence came an hour of news at 7 a.m. as well.
We went from having a 2-hour morning show to having a morning show that lasts for 4 hours over 2 different stations. And it really takes a lot to keep your energy kind of up and being able to be awake during that whole time. So what I try to do to keep my energy up is lots of green tea. And I have 2 breakfasts at several hours of intervals. And other than that, you just kind of feed off the energy of everything that's happening in the room.
Jeremy is joined by director Eric Hudson in the control room for this hour of news.
Start your push. Dissolve 2. Ready 3.
I do think that 7 a.m. hour of the news is really the killer for the crew. You've been doing news already for 2 hours. You're trying to prepare for the Rhode Show that's still coming up. But you still got to get through that 7 a.m. hour. And it's tough, but we make it through somehow every day.
But while the news continues in Studio A, preparations are now underway in Studio B for the Rhode Show, which starts in just about 45 minutes.
The Rhode Show is clearly different than our everyday Eyewitness News product in that there's a lot more entertainment type news, there's a lot more lifestyle type news. In the typical Eyewitness newscast, you won't see a lot of what some people might consider to be news that's on the softer side or information, infotainment type news. What we wanted to do with this show was bring a local slice of life type entertainment type programming to the viewers.
I've done a lot of news shows, but you guys are slinging it hard, early.
Oh yeah, we don't mess
early.
Between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, it's crazy. We have anywhere between 6 to 12 guests in a day, and of course everyone that they come along with. So during the half hour, it's very busy. We have to get everyone in position, get everyone mic'd, get everyone to understand what they need to be doing, get everyone comfortable with what they're doing. There's a lot of last-minute changes. If someone comes up with a different idea as we're going along, then we have to make those changes. And of course, the producer and the directors are always very patient with changing those things around when they need to, because everyone's goal is to have a really fun, really successful, good Rhode Show.
And finishing up a story for today's show is Rhode Show co-host Sean Tempesta. Sean actually won his spot on the Rhode Show in an open audition.
What up, what up?
Hundreds of potential co-hosts descended on Twin River for a tryout.
The experience at Twin River was unbelievable. I had been told by a friend of mine that listened to a radio station I was at From 107 in New Bedford, and he had told me about these open auditions. And I had just gotten my veneers done. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I get the guy smiley smile and everything. It was great. So fast forward, I'm there in line, number 41 of 143 people trying out. And yeah, I waited in line. I noticed everyone was getting like 6 minutes of time. I'm like, wow, man, I have a lot to say in front of these people. I finally walk in, and I see the cast of judges. One of them was Tony Bristol, who was the program director of Pro FM. Pro FM is a station I always wanted to work for. However, Tony would never want me on his station, so I was like, I'm doomed.
Only 26 were invited to come to the Eyewitness News studios and try their luck reading off the teleprompter and interviewing a guest from Pro FM.
It's a who's who of the celebrity elite.
Droves of Tinseltown's finest on hand for the Hollywood Awards.
And so doing the night show on one of Rhode Island's highest rated stations consistently kind of makes you the man.
And then the final 5 went toe-to-toe in a series of challenges.
La, la, la.
My favorite things that we got to do were the live events. We got to go to PPAC, which is gorgeous. I hadn't been there before. And introduce Grease, and we got to go on the radio at 92 Pro FM.
In the end, Sean was the last one standing.
And the winner of the contest to win a co-host spot on the Rhode Show on Fox Providence is Sean Tempesta.
When they told us that they were looking through southern New England for some sort of talent to be here on the Rhode Show, your first thought is, I mean, I've had practice at this. What about someone who hasn't had practice at this? But when they found the group of people that they found, I was just so amazed at the level of talent. I mean, a lot of those people have even gotten jobs here at WPRI 12 because they really are talented people. And when we found Sean, the great thing about Sean was he had had his hands in so many different forms of media, in radio, in online production, in video production, and being behind the camera and having this big personality that for him it was just a natural fit. So when he came here, he just hit the ground running.
But next year, there'll be more hopefuls and a new co-host sitting in Sean's seat.
The gig coming to an end in January is kind of a bummer. I'm going to be honest with you. I've put my heart and soul into this position. I am, 7 days a week. I'm working for this place, whether it be on the show or just walking around talking to people about the show. Because if I'm walking down the cake mix aisle of Stop and Shop, there's a woman on the cell phone like, "Oh my God, I just saw that guy on TV." It's not an egotistical thing. It's just like they promote the show so much and they promote my big head so much that people end up seeing me. I am going to be devastated when this ends.
And Sean has advice for anyone wanting to be the next co-host on the Rhode Show.
Know how to write a 2-minute piece. Know how to learn how to edit. If you have any editing software at the house, figure out how to piece things together. Pay attention to stories that you see on air and see how they're pieced together with the voiceovers into somebody talking on camera and something else. Learn how to do that. Learn how interview skills. That's something I'm still trying to learn. I'm a very excitable person and I get all uppity, but I'm trying to calm it down in order to have an appropriate interview with people. Don't take things personally. You're going to fail sometimes and you'll be a little bit heartbroken about it, but you know what? The next day you're going to have a whole brand new list of things to do and you'll have another chance to prove yourself and have fun, because this is, especially if you want a career in television, this is no joke. This is not here's our special host. You're a co-host on the show, legit, and you are getting a full load of work.
Back in the newsroom, Rhode Show producer Ashley Erling is putting the finishing touches on today's show.
The last few minutes before the show are normally frantic. It's me writing every last minute thing, like sometimes we don't even know what we're cooking in the kitchen until right before the show goes on air. Guests change, the focus of the story changes, pretty much everything changes right up until I'm in the booth and also while I'm in the booth.
It gets crazy because there's a lot of different characters that come in. We have anything from penguins, we've had wallabies, we've had circus performers, we had people from Cirque du Soleil, we have all these different kinds of characters that are coming in.
It's just before 8 a.m., and the anchors have just a couple of minutes to get settled in Studio B for the final hour.
The talent is moving from one set to the other. You have to move all the cameras from one set to the other. So now you're dealing with moving equipment, people, and getting into new locations and setting up new shots.
Elizabeth and I will say after the 7 o'clock show, okay, let's go. Ready to kick it up a notch? Because you got to take it up.
Ready, E. The Rhode Show starts right now.
Roll the track. Live from Fox Providence.
Ready, and Vince.
This is the Rhode Show.
With so many guests and things going on, the Rhode Show is controlled chaos.
That's where you need the ultimate energy, the ultimate being able to ad-lib and think on your feet, go from point A to point B with little information, because we really don't get a chance to look at a script because we're out here anchoring that as 3 straight hours. So while the Rhode Show is being put together and being deciphered, we're not actively involved in that. So the executive producer, Rebecca Johnson, will come out in between breaks and say, "You're going to do this. You're going to do this. Here's a quick synopsis of this. Here's a quick synopsis of that." And you got to be quick study.
The Rhode Show is very loosely formatted. We know roughly where everything's going to go, but when we actually get there, some days it's just we have to fly by the seat of our pants for almost the entire hour. It's a lot of fun, though. It's something completely different from anything we've done earlier in the morning to that point, and it gets pretty crazy some mornings, but it's a nice change of pace.
Hey, Rick, just watch your left arm, okay? 15.
I'm always watching all the monitors and trying to make sure that the guests that are about to be on are sitting where they're supposed to be, or they're getting mic'd and they're kind of close to the area where they're supposed to be, and making sure that everyone is present and accounted for. And that happens a lot through the headsets. If anybody ever listened back to our headset conversations during the show, they would hear me yelling a lot.
College Bound's up next. College Bound.
Today I was looking for my coat, this coat right here. I didn't know where it was. I was looking around my desk out in the newsroom. I'm like, where's my coat? I had to be on in 3 minutes. So I'm like, I left it in the kitchen. So I run through the studio right over there to where the kitchen is, take a right, and I'm about to get my jacket, and I hear two people from the Mystic Aquarium say, "Watch out!" And I look down, and there's two penguins at my feet. There were two penguins. I nearly killed two penguins with my feet. I'm like, oh my God. So I start patting it, and then I grab the jacket and go. It's always something different here. We just had a band in studio to, a Martin Short to, there's a whole bunch of craziness that happens here, and it's fun.
This is a job where there are so many things that we get to do that I can't imagine what other job I could do and do all these things, meet all these people. It's so much fun, and there's no other job, no other experience where we could try all of these little things and then bring them to the audience so that they can share in our excitement about it.
Coming up, there's more to this show than what's on your TV screen. We'll show you how The Rhode Show is interacting with you online when we come back, behind the scenes. We'll get back to The Rhode Show behind the scenes in a minute, but first, a viewer question from the Cardi's Furniture 15 Seconds of Fame video kiosk at the Warwick Mall.
My question is, how does it feel to be on TV?
I've been doing it for 20 years, and I still get up every morning excited to do what I do. I'm not going to lie to you, it feels pretty cool.
I'll be honest, it's a little bit scary because, everybody's watching you, and if you have something hanging out of your nose or a pimple on your face, all these people are going to see it. But I have to say, really, other than that, I really enjoy being on TV because I get to do so many different things that I couldn't otherwise do, and I get to meet people I wouldn't otherwise meet.
Now, back to The Rhode Show behind the scenes on Fox Providence.
The crew is in the middle of 4 hours of local programming, 3 hours of eyewitness news this morning, and an hour of The Rhode Show. And it takes a lot of coffee to keep them going.
I will probably have 5 or 6 cups of coffee during the show, and that's already after an extra large Dunkin' Donuts with a shot of cappuccino on top of it. I drink a lot of coffee.
Another hazard, unexpected twists and turns, and The Rhode Show certainly brings lots of those every day. But it also brings opportunities to the anchors that they never thought they'd get.
I have to tell you, this is my favorite job that I've ever had, honestly, because we get to do so many things in terms of, being out in the community, meeting people, participating in different things. And I mean, I've learned to cook through this show. My mother never thought that would happen. So there are lots of things that we get to do and experience that really make this show a unique platform, really different than doing the news.
And one of the best parts of The Rhode Show is that you at home can be a part of what happens. Because while there's one conversation going on in the studio,
right off the top, because I love seeing local companies,
a different conversation going on in the control room.
Again, I want to make sure that the weather wireless is out to the yard, and Michelle goes to the hardwire, and your guest in the kitchen is also on hardwire.
And a third conversation going on online on foxprovidence.com, where Courtney Caligiuri is live blogging every morning from the studio.
The cool thing about the live blog is they can weigh in right away, and we don't have to wait for emails from folks. They can tell us how they feel about a topic, if they stand on the side of one of the co-hosts, maybe during the Buzz segment, if they agree with them, disagree with them. I'm able to share that on air pretty much right away as it's happening, and it's tough sometimes because we have a ton of comments. I'm trying to weed through them, but their voice is definitely heard, and you know, folks in the audience and at home get to see it, which is cool.
The Rhode Show is a local show. It's about local Rhode Island and Southern Mass, and we wanted Rhode Islanders to be a part of the program. So the best way we thought we could do that would be to have a live blog during the show.
We have the same group of people that come every day, which is really great. We have some new folks who join in every now and then, but they're all friends. They're friends now off the blog, on Facebook, Twitter. They're all following each other. They're really great, huge fans, and they're really engaged in the show. They want to know everything that's happening behind the scenes, where Lily got a bracelet, Vince's dog's name, anything. They're just very involved, which is great to hear every morning.
And the involvement doesn't end there. We've already had a ton of contests that made viewers like you winners.
My favorite moment so far, I think, might be when we gave away the trip to American Idol.
And the winner is Linda Tyler.
We had a contest to give away a trip to the American Idol finale, and a Rhode Show viewer won.
How do you feel?
I am so out of my mind excited, and I'm grateful, and my daughter is going to lose her mind. We're going to be there for her birthday. Thank you so much.
We gave it away live on TV, and her reaction was really priceless. That was really special. I think that was a good moment.
As the hosts sign off for another day, a feeling of relief washes over the crew.
Every day it's a huge sigh of relief when the show's over. Not just because I'm glad it's over, because I love the show, but because it's just that we made it and the product has been on air and it's usually good. So it's just kind of like a, whew, we did it again.
Of course, that's far from the end of a day's work at Eyewitness News. But that story is for another special. For now, the hosts are happy to be here doing this kind of show.
Here's the thing about the Rhode Show. There's no time to prepare. There's no time. You know, we get the scripts cold. Everything's out there. We're just reacting to it. So you're getting our real opinions on these things. A lot of times people agree with us. A lot of times they don't. Believe me, we hear from them either way. But it is so much different than doing the news, and it's a little bit cooler. I got to say, it's just so much fun to interact with the audience in that way, hear what they're saying, respond to it instantly. I mean, that kind of interaction between us and the audience, I've never seen that happen before in such a really authentic and spontaneous way. And it's just so much fun to kind of volley off of Sean and Vince and hear what they're saying and react to it. Sometimes I agree with them, a lot of times I don't. And I think it's more interesting when we don't agree, because we kind of represent a little bit of everybody in our audience.
Coming up on The Rhode Show behind the scenes, the kitchen at Fox Providence has hosted some of the best chefs in the Ocean State.
The cooking segment is one of the favorite things that I do on the show. I look forward to it every day. It's a new chef. It's a chance to have some fun.
And we'll take a look at how it became a centerpiece of the show. And if you want to get even more behind-the-scenes info, just head to foxprovidence.com. Director Michael Beakey goes behind the camera in his Back Roads blog.
Hey, welcome back to The Rhode Show. We are in The Rhode Show kitchen.
One of the most entertaining parts of The Rhode Show every day is cooking in the kitchen. Rhode Island Kitchen and Bath partnered with Eyewitness News to build the brand new set, and it's been the scene of some of the best moments on The Rhode Show ever since.
Oh my gosh, I'm super excited about this.
To me, the kitchen was very important. It was one of the most important things we did, and the reason is cooking is such an important part of the typical Southern New Englander and Rhode Islander's life. At least I feel that way. It's an important part of my life. So what we wanted to do was capture some of the terrific restaurant scene that we have here in town and be able to bring the viewers terrific recipes and also have them be able to log on to foxprovidence.com and check out those recipes for themselves and be able to cook at home.
The cooking segment is one of the favorite things that I do on the show. I look forward to it every day. It's a new chef. It's a chance to have some fun. That's what I got to say. The more you drink, the better you feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's a chance for me to take off that news hat and put on that, that guest host hat, entertainment hat, if you will, and show my personality. Because as a news person, it's not always appropriate to show what I may be thinking or a personality depending on the story. So people really don't get a chance to find out if I really have a good sense of humor or if I'm a dud or, what I am. So when I go to the kitchen, I try my best to have some fun and just, let's just lay it out there. I know that kitchen took a long time, so I try to interact with, the chefs as best as possible and make them have some fun, too.
It's also been where our own Elizabeth Hopkins has learned to cook.
And I didn't know a spatula from my elbow before we started this show. I really, one day I remember going into the kitchen and I held up some sort of vegetable and the chef said to me, you know what that is? She was kind of joking and I said, no. And she goes, it's a cucumber. And I was like, oh, cucumber, okay. So we really had to start at the beginning with me. I didn't recognize it, but it smells delish. And all of a sudden, I'm making vegetarian chili, I'm making my own granola. It's like, I got something going here.
Oh, yeah. Brain freeze. It's so good. The cooking is amazing.
I'm trying different things. I planted a garden because we were using so much fresh produce and all the chefs were talking about how important that is. So I planted a garden and now I'm cooking chicken and I'm cooking steak and fish and trying different things. It used to be the case, before this show, when I would turn on my oven, my dog would start shaking in the corner because he knew that the fire alarm was going to go off at any moment. So now he's very much relieved.
And the kitchen is constantly serving up delicious dishes to the crew.
Honestly, if the food wasn't good, I'm a bad fibber.
Was that good? How was that?
Excellent.
It's very hot. I can tell.
It's hot. So if it wasn't that good, you may get me like, oh, this is okay. Yeah, not bad. Good job. And kind of rush it off and move on from there. But if you see me savor that food, it's butter, pretty darn good. Like and butter. You ask anybody around here, when the segment's over, and the cooks are done, and the show is done, the hyenas come out. There are people in this building I don't even know work here or in the kitchen eating.
It's really the best segment we have because I get low blood sugar and I get cranky if I don't eat. So when the show's over and there's food waiting, everybody's day is better. We get to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
But there's a reason the kitchen looks so good every day. Behind the scenes, the Rhode Show interns work tirelessly, cleaning the kitchen every morning.
It's all part of the job. I think we both kind of expected, with interns, we're not going to be, going out and doing these incredible, high intensive news stories. And, I think we expected, a little bit of manipulated.
But the interns do more than just clean the kitchen and do the dishes.
Stand by, please.
They're responsible every day for getting the guests to and from the set and helping the show go smoothly.
They get to see this show from the flip side of it, the things that people don't see at home, but they're very important to it, and I think they have a lot of fun and learn a lot.
If you have a lot of guests, you have people in the newsroom, you have people outside, or you have people in the kitchen, you're having hits from all these different places, then it's kind of hard trying to decide how you're going to get them mic'd up and off and out at the back door and everything in time for you to be back outside to give another standby for somebody.
And after the show, the interns get to go out and help shoot segments for the Rhode Show in the field.
They get to go out on shoots from anything from, going out on restaurant shoots, going on a skydiving shoot, going on anything that we're doing for the Rhode Show.
We get to do a lot of stuff that I feel like most people that have internships, so just starting out, they don't. We have it good. We have it good.
All in a day's work. We do get to go out on shoots, and I've gotten to interview people by myself just with the cameraman, and there is a certain amount of trust that
goes along with it.
Yeah.
Still to come, we look back at the histories of our 3 Rhode Show hosts and we'll share some of their favorite memories. Next, behind the scenes. And if you're a college student and would like to be a Rhode Show intern, just log on to foxprovidence.com for details. Now back to the Rhode Show behind the scenes on Fox Providence.
because the Rhode Show starts right now.
Live from
The Rhode Show's first broadcast was February 18th.
But we're kicking off the Rhode Show. We're really excited. We hope that you're excited, too.
We're looking forward to having a whole lot of fun with you each and every morning, of course, right here on the Rhode Show.
Yeah, and that was only a few weeks after Vince Dementri came back to Eyewitness News after a 17-year absence.
Go, your life depends on it! Well, that was tough, you know, because I know a lot of people, whether they were intimidated by me or they didn't know what to make of me, they didn't talk to me for a while, you know? And I don't think it was that they didn't like me. I just think that they just were trying to figure me out. You know, who is this new guy? Who is this guy that's coming back? You know, he's coming from a big market, you know, and he's coming back to, you know, a little roadie, and, you know, what's his story and what is he all about? And I think I had to do again here this time around what I had to do the first time around, and that was earn people's respect and get a chance to get to know them, and for them to get a chance to know me on a personal basis and hear me talk not just as a newscaster but as a regular guy.
Here's the thing. When I was younger, I grew up in New York, and Vince was the guy who I watched on the news in New York. And then here he is standing in front of me. I mean, it's a little bit, you know, intimidating. But the truth is that he is a really great guy. He's very warm and friendly. He's open to suggestions. He'll give you suggestions. And, you know, I think the intimidation factor has worn off, thank goodness, and I think we have a good working relationship.
And when you're together every day, co-anchors learn a lot about each other.
Let me tell you something about Vince Dementri that you may not know, okay? He takes his medium Dunkin' Donuts coffee with cream, no sugar. He has to have a bottle of water. Typically, at some point in the day, he's going to get a diet soda. And, I mean, like, there are crazy things that you know about people. I know about how much he loves his family, from, you know, the depth of that, all the way to the minutia of, you know, what he's going to have for breakfast and that sort of thing, the kind of car he drives, you know.
Vince's original stint at Eyewitness News included him helping start the Target 12 Investigators Unit.
Now that I've come back 16, 17 years later, I now know what Jack White must have been thinking when he got saddled with me as a partner in this investigative unit. He must have said, oh, this kid, this green kid, he's got a lot to learn. He's so eager, and, you know, if they told him to go jump off a bridge, he'd go jump off a bridge to do the story.
Tuesday morning, the campus newspaper, The Anchor, is going to look pretty familiar to most, except for one big change. Inside, you're going to be able to find an insert containing a condom.
But it's amazing how it's come full circle. You know, when I left, if somebody would have told me I'd be back, you know, 17 years later, I just would have said, yeah, you're crazy. It's never going to happen.
But now he's back, and he's doing something totally different.
Yeah, it's different, but at the same time, it's still the same. It's still got that same feel.
Elizabeth Hopkins started her career way out in South Dakota at KNBN.
You're watching the award-winning News Center 1 at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Ben Boyette.
And I'm Elizabeth Hopkins. Thank you for choosing News Center 1. South Dakota for me was tough. It really was difficult because it was the first time that I was totally on my own. I mean, I moved out there not knowing anybody, thousands of miles away from my family. And it was difficult. But you know, my mom said to me, if you're going to be out there, this is probably the only time you're ever going to spend this much time out there, so why not take advantage of things? And I did. I mean, Mount Rushmore is out there, which was so cool, and I took up rock climbing. Many tourists come to South Dakota to see the famous faces of Mount Rushmore, but for those who are a little more adventurous, they come to see the mountain behind the men.
And there were some other drawbacks to being in South Dakota as well.
The metropolis of Rapid City, South Dakota, where there are more cows than people. But then, after about a year, I got to upgrade, and I went to Madison, Wisconsin, where there are more cows than people. So when the opportunity came up to come to Rhode Island and to be part of WPRI 12, my first question was, what's the ratio here? And when they told me that there were more people than cows, I was like, I'll take it.
And now Elizabeth is calling Rhode Island home.
I really love the Ocean State and everything that it has to offer. And it was just such a welcome opportunity to no longer be landlocked, no longer be in the Midwest, which is so very different than living in the East Coast. And, you know, I needed some quahogs and some coffee milk. I mean, me and coffee milk, like this.
And now on the Rhode Show, she's making new friends and creating favorite moments every day.
Well,
Thank you.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Thank you.
Working with Lily is a dream. I say that jokingly because she's my friend, but in all honesty, she's one of the most professional people I've ever worked with, and beyond that, she is fun, and she is so competent. You can throw her out with any guest whatsoever with like zero information, and she pulls off an interview like she's been prepping for it for days.
Some of my favorite moments, I have to say, was the fairly impressive crepe flip that I did. Oh my God.
High five, girl.
I cannot believe that
Don't
just
burn
happened.
your God.
One Mr. Nick Lachey, who my mother hit on, by the way. That was probably a fun moment. Probably not for my dad, but that was a fun moment. I talked to Tori Spelling. How cool is that? We're going to have David Alan Grier coming in. I'm going to put that as my Facebook status, that David Alan Grier finds me fascinating.
Yeah.
Is that okay? There are bands and acts and things that we get to do. I got to do this photo shoot where we kind of dressed up like a model, so that was really nice. And I have to say, my all-time favorite thing on the Rhode Show was my fairly impressive crepe flip.
They're going to be hitting the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
Sean won an open audition to be on the show, but it wasn't the first such contest he's been in.
It was an open audition for a traffic reporter position at a station in Vegas, and I knew I was doomed when the top 10 was me and 9 girls. I definitely knew I was doomed when the top 5 was me and 4 girls.
Take a look at the Southeast Valley, 215 eastbound at Gibson. You have an accident working there. We also have that other accident we were talking about earlier today, eastbound at Flamingo, just west of Decatur. That's in the cleanup stages.
I had won the votes, but they wanted a girl. Go figure. So, they gave it to them. And at that point, I was devastated about it. But everything happens for a reason. And if I got that gig, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I would much rather have this job than to be talking about the 215 Beltway in Las Vegas.
So now he's here interviewing celebrities and having laughs on the Rhode Show.
How's your pelvic thrust?
I've been getting better. I've been taking dancing lessons.
There you go. Okay, here we go.
Hanging out at the circus with Ringling Brothers was awesome. Getting to feed an elephant an entire loaf of bread at once. Getting to try to do the unicycle was great. Ginsu Knives being an infomercial king. Billy Mays, God rest his soul. I want to be him one day, maybe. And that was fun. Giving away a trip to the American Idol finale. I want to be a game show host one day. That was giving my game show hostessness a chance. I liked it. It was fun. Every day there's something new.
But it isn't all fun and games working mornings, as weekend anchor Danielle North and sports director Patrick Little found out when they filled in.
This is a new show? Someone told me I was supposed to be here to talk about sports.
No, you're actually doing the news.
Oh, I'm deliriously delusional at 6 a.m. in the morning. Hi.
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm Elizabeth.
I've never seen you before.
Day 2 for you doing the full-blown, the whole thing. How you feeling?
Speaks volumes.
This is what we do. This is television. And I had a news director tell me a long, long time ago, and he said, you don't get paid for everything else you do. You get paid for when that red light goes on. That red light on the camera goes on. And so I've always tried to remember that that's what this is all about. No matter how tired I may be, if I've had a bad day, if I don't feel like doing the show that day, you better put that out of your head, man, because you got to go before the camera and be professional.
Coming up, everybody's favorite, bloopers. They're straight ahead on The Rhode Show behind the scenes. But first, a viewer question from McCarty's Furniture 15 Seconds of Fame video kiosk at the Warwick Mall.
Hi, I'm 5 years old.
What's the most fun thing?
What's the most fun thing?
For kids to do.
For kids to do.
In your island.
In Rhode Island.
I think I have to bring in our resident parenting expert for this because I don't actually have any children, but you have 3 kids. Susan Hogan, what's the most fun thing to do in Rhode Island?
Well, first of all, hello, Colin. I have 3 kids, 2 of whom are twins who are 10, and we have a 5-year-old, Jack. So hello.
And Colin is 5.
There you go. So this is what we do. We have 2 things that we do, and they're both, well, one is free and one isn't. But we go on the bike path constantly. We bring our backpacks, take along little nets, and we go fishing, sort of.
For minnows?
For minnows, or whatever. And we always bring a little pail. And there's amazing things that you can find along the Blackstone River. The other fun thing is to go to the drive-in movies. We put on our pajamas, we pack ourselves some little snacks, and there's a great drive-in movie theater in Smithfield. And they have
the rustic drive-in?
Yes, and they've got great movies for 5-year-olds that they really like to watch. And then when the older, the older movies, like maybe the PG comes on, the big kids watch, and Jack and then Colin can take their little naps and go off to summer. But it's a blast to do, and you just kind of tailgate watching the movie.
So much fun. Well, there you have it.
Now back to the Rhode Show behind the scenes on Fox Providence.
The Rhode Show is often all fun and games, but sometimes the best moments are the ones that aren't planned.
You can fight me.
Dude, I could waste you.
Let's see what we got.
Are you serious?
Let's go.
I'm not going to have some kind of lawsuit on me.
No, let's do it. No, I'll sign a waiver.
No! Oh!
That was so hardcore, he broke the mic.
I got my butt beat by a midget. Now, we practiced this off camera, and it went fantastic. But this time, it didn't go so fantastic. That is a dagger, and it went right there. And it injured me very much so. More mentally than anything. So that is what I actually look like. Luckily, for concealer and MAC makeup, you're not seeing most of it. It does still look grotesque.
And sometimes you get a good laugh just from a piece of video.
Wow.
I'm not sure, though, if Lily and Michelle can enter, but we do appreciate it. So we're doing the fish dance.
I want to party with you, cowgirl.
I cannot believe that.
I'm shocked.
And then there are those times when the lights unexpectedly go out.
Courtney's lit up. She's ready to go. Hey, Court.
Or the other time the lights just went out.
Oh, there we go.
With
the lights again.
Hey, look at that. They'll pop on in just a minute, but this is too funny.
And then there are those ideas that seemed good at the time.
And then you're going to sit on the seat and you're going to start to pedal.
It did not end well.
No.
It can't end well.
Are you on the seat? Are you on? No, he's going down. He's going down. Oh, and there we have the effects of gravity. Yes! Gravity.
But off the air, some of Eyewitness News' finest are just as goofy as they are on the air.
I'm Elizabeth Hopkins, reporting live from where gale force winds have brought the remnants of Hurricane Faye to southern New England.
Come on, dance with me! Because our friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then no friends of mine.
No, there's no friends of mine.
That's right!
Here's the thing about that. I feel like if I were those kids, I would so want to be on TV.
Let me get on TV!
Let me get on TV!
Let me get on TV! What's up?
I stole a Happy New Year tiara. I love tiaras, so that was obvious. And so I took a tiara and I said, "Take the mic," and then we just kind of rolled with it. It was fun. They had a good time. I had a good time.
Oh, what?
And for some reason, Elizabeth Hopkins and Danielle North just can't stop dancing.
It's a gift and a burden, having the rhythm within you. And, you're playing music just unleashes the beast, if you will. And I cannot be held accountable when I'm baited into such, spastic movement. You were taping that? Okay? You're dead to me. That's what I have to say about that. Okay? That's what I have to say.
Elizabeth does a lot of singing, too.
Don't stop believing. I don't know the rest of the words. Tony Soprano, he got shot when they played this song.
I've dedicated my life to singing poorly. It's been a tremendous success. When I sing, it sounds a little bit like a cat being run over by a Mack truck and then that truck driver backing up back over that cat. That is the sound that I go for, the genre, if you will.
Well, she's a ham, but it would certainly be unfair to the morning crew if we didn't at least show that their evening counterparts were equally skilled at blooper making, especially one Tony Petrarca.
Within them, because that would just signify, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I don't want to do this again. I do not want to do this again. What's the word I'm looking for? Signify? Signify! What happened here? What is this?
And then there was that time that Patrick Little just couldn't stop laughing.
Bartolo may have overextended himself a bit. Cologne has a strained love handle. He's not going to be able to pitch for at least a week. Supposed to pitch again for the Red Sox tomorrow. Let's move on. Red Sox are finally going to have their home opener. It's later today. Daisuke will get the start against the Tigers. The Sox will get their World Series rings before the game. We'll have live reports from Fenway.
So you see, everyone has bad days. Of course, they could be avoided sometimes by thinking before acting.
Gather your chi and practice your punches. As a matter of fact, this is a board that Rebecca Johnson broke, our executive producer. Isn't that impressive?
Very.
You go ahead. I'm going to see if I can do it.
You gonna try?
I'm going to try. Oh!
You gotta use your fist. What's wrong with you?
Oh, is that what you do? Oh, is that what you're supposed to do?
You gotta use your fist.
I need some ice. Hold on. Okay, wise guy. Ready? All right.
Turn it this way.
Here we go. Oh my God. Ah!
Let me try it again.
Okay. Ah!
It won't break.
Somehow Rebecca broke it. I don't know.
Still ahead, the Rhode Show's almost over, but that means tomorrow's show is just 23 hours away. Cool. The cycle continues when we come back. And before we go to break, a viewer question from McCarty's Furniture 15 Seconds of Fame video kiosk at the Warwick Mall.
What's your favorite thing to do in Rhode Island?
I was always looking for like the perfect beach. Me and my girlfriend, we would go around. We went to Warwick City Beach, and it was all right. But then we went to Narragansett, and we saw Narragansett Town Beach, and that is gorgeous. So if I'd say anything, even though I don't do it very often because I don't have the time, you're just relaxing on Narragansett Town Beach and walking down the beach.
As the show comes to an end each day, finally the crew can relax, but only for a minute because now it's time to start work on tomorrow's show.
At the end of the Rhode Show, you definitely are relieved because it has been a long morning, but you have to also remind yourself that it's only 9 a.m. and you still have the rest of your shift to go, and you have pre-production stuff, and then still the noon newscast to get through.
But everyone can be satisfied that the show went off with barely a hitch and that they got to be part of a new kind of show here in the Ocean State.
What is best for me and what I look forward to in the Rhode Show every day is that it's different and that you never know what's going to happen. This is an hour of live TV. A lot of it is scripted. A lot of it isn't. A lot of it is scripted for ad lib. We may read a story and say, okay, what do you think about that? And then let the races begin, baby, because, whatever, once that's out of your mouth, you can't take it back.
So, I guess that's been an hour. Did we learn something?
I don't know if we actually learned anything, but, it's all out on the table now.
That's it. And, we're out of time. So, they'll see you. I'll be in the control room, but they'll see you tomorrow on The Rhode Show. Bye, everybody.